John Carpenter is one of the best directors of all time. And if you couldn't tell by the shirt I'm wearing, the book I have here, or some of the other content I've done in this channel, I'm a big fan of his films. There's always a lot of debate with John Carpenter fans about what is his best film and how do you rank his films. And trust me, you're gonna wanna stick around because where I have some of these films ranked is either gonna really please you or piss you off, and I want to hear from you either way. My number 5 pick is Assault on Precinct 13. I like how simple the film is. A street gang is ambushed by cops and they seek revenge on a precinct that is closing down, and we follow a highway patrolman who is caught up in this, a couple criminals, and some of the people that work at the precinct as they have to defend themselves against this gang who will stop at nothing to get revenge. That's the whole film in a nutshell. But what makes this film really nice and really fun is, first of all, the music. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, you all know that song, that theme song. Music's a big part of John Carpenter's films because he composes the music for a lot of his stuff. He did Assault on Precinct 13, the Halloween theme, Escape from New York, a bunch of other stuff. And the other thing I really like about this film is the obvious Night of the Living Dead influences. Even John Carpenter said he's influenced by that film. In Night of the Living Dead, you have a group of people trapped in a farmhouse and they're besieged by zombies. Here you have a precinct and you're besieged by this gang. And the gang is completely dehumanized. They don't speak. They don't have any plot, really. You don't get to know them at all. You barely even see like their faces or close up. You just kind of see them as basically beings who are insistent on breaking in and getting at the people inside. John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct is my number 5 pick. My number 4 pick is Escape from New York. This is sort of like the big one that everybody knows, that introduced us to Snake Plissken and showcased us John Carpenter's vision of what a future New York might look like. How can you not love Escape from New York? Snake Plissken is one of the greatest anti-hero badasses of all time. He is dropped into New York, which has been cordoned off, to find the president whose plane crashed there, and that's the story, and you get to see all the cool stuff in New York and all the fun characters. You have great performances from Kurt Russell, Lee Van Cleef, who's one of my favorites as well. Donald Pleasance plays the president. Isaac Hayes is in there driving around with his car with like chandeliers on it. It's a bizarre film, and it's really weird. There's that fight in the boxing ring with that ogre looking dude, and Kurt Russell has said that Snake Plissken is his favorite character that he's played, and Escape from New York is his favorite film. So that is why I have it as my number 4 John Carpenter film. My number 3 pick is probably gonna piss a lot of people off and make them scratch their head, but I have Halloween. Now I know most of you are wondering, how is Halloween number 3? How is it not number 1? It's probably one of the most famous slasher films of all time, has one of the most iconic, well-known pieces of music in cinema history, the Halloween theme, which John Carpenter composed again as well. And it kind of gave birth to the whole slasher genre. It came out in '78, gave birth to the Friday the 13th films, which came out 2 years later. And then obviously Nightmare on Elm Street films and a bunch of other stuff. But it was kind of the blueprint of how to do these hulking, stalking, unkillable creature slasher films. You might not understand how important and big this film was at the time, and you might not understand how it was deemed so scary and terrifying and violent, because compared to some of the films out today, it's a pretty tame slasher film actually. Where the film excels is the sense of dread, the tension it creates. The first half of the film is basically Michael Myers stalking Laurie, and you see him in the shadows, you see him far away, you see him looking and stalking. It creates this sense of dread, this, you know that it's just building and building and it's coming. And then when he finally strikes, it's a brutal escalation from the beginning to that point. And it feels earned because you kind of see it growing and building. This film was not only important for John Carpenter and getting his name out there and showing what he can do on a relatively small budget, but it still to this day is one of the most successful independent films of all time. It turned a huge profit on a very small budget, and it started the careers of James Lee Curtis and John Carpenter. So it's a vastly important film, and I do love it, but there are 2 films of his that I love even more. My number 2 pick should come as no surprise because I'm wearing the dang shirt right here. It's They Live. Now, I think They Live is vastly underrated in his filmography. I think this film has the most to say out of all of his films about subliminal messaging and aliens hiding in plain sight and controlling us through the media, forcing us to obey and comply and go along with things that we may not want to do. I love They Live because of the great performances from Roddy Piper and Keith David. And it's just a weird, quirky, fun story about him putting on glasses and being able to see through the lens of society and see all of this hidden stuff behind him. The scenes where he first puts the glasses on and he can see the society around him and he starts seeing these aliens, it's just amazing. When he goes into the bank and he does the iconic line, one of the greatest lines in cinema history. He comes into the bank, big ass shotgun that he took from a cop. He looks around and he's like, I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I mean, come on. Who wrote that? How do you write that? That's so good. It's so good. And then he just starts blasting aliens in the bank. But I think the scene I like even more than that, and I think this is the greatest fight scene in cinema history. Forget Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, R.I.P. Forget all those dudes. It's Roddy Piper and Keith David brawling for like 8 minutes, literally 8 on-screen minutes of them just going back and forth, sloppily fighting, hitting each other in the nuts, smashing their car, hitting each other with wood, basically knocking each other down. And you're like, okay, it's over. And then they just go again for another minute or two and they're down. And then they just go again for another minute or two and they're down. It feels like it never ends. This is a scene that's been parodied by South Park, many other shows. If you remember in South Park, the cripple fight, that's exactly what this scene was. That whole scene started because Nada, who's played by Roddy Piper, wanted Frank, played by Keith David, to put on the glasses so he can see as well. And Keith David said, nah, I'm not putting on those glasses. And then they proceeded to brawl for like 8 minutes. It was freaking amazing. You have to see that fight scene. If nothing else, you have to see it. I think it has a great resolution and one of his best sort of post-credit epilogue type scenes ever. And now my number one film should come as no surprise because for most people it's either Halloween or The Thing. For me, it's The Thing. I think The Thing is not only John Carpenter's best film, it's one of the greatest sci-fi horror films of all time. It's also on my personal top 5 films of all time, regardless of genre. It is my favorite sci-fi horror film. Everything about that film works. I love that it is a straight plot film, meaning there's no filler, there's no subplots, there's no romantic subplots, there's no things to figure out. It's one plot. Who is the thing? How do we survive it? It is so claustrophobic and paranoid because there's nowhere to go. They know this thing is in there with them. They know each other could be the thing. They don't know who it is. They don't know how it can get them, when it can get them. They have nowhere to go. They can't contact no one. They can't fly away. They can't even run outside and run away because they'll freeze to death. They are literally trapped here with this alien entity that is going to kill them and consume them and become them. I think this film creates the best sense of paranoia of any film I've seen because you never know who is the thing and who is human. If you take your eye off someone for 1 minute, that could be the time where they become the thing. You just don't know. To this day, this film has some of the best special effects of any film of all time. It still holds up. It was all practical effects because this film came out in 1982. And it looks amazing. It's disgusting. It's gooey. It's blood and green stuff spurts out everywhere. It's nasty, it's sick. If you watch YouTube and you watch these people who watch films for the first time and they react to them, they're all mouths are agape because they can't believe what they're seeing. They're used to seeing special effects made by a computer and VFX and all this kind of stuff. They're not used to seeing the practical effects like that. And it is just amazing to behold. Rob Bottin, who did the effects, worked so hard on them for the duration of the film that afterwards he had to check himself into a hospital for exhaustion. It's just an amazing film. This film is scary. It's well acted. It makes you think. The debates that it has generated are amazing. Who is the thing at the end? Is it Keith David? Is it Kurt Russell? Is it neither? Is it both? You never know. There's debates on a lot of things. People talk about, oh, he's drinking gasoline and that's why he laughs. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Or you see the breath and you don't see the breath of Keith David, although the DP said that that was just the way the camera was angled and the lighting. So the thing is, you just don't know. And I think that's brilliant because now, 40 some years later, we're still talking about it. The music with John Carpenter and Ennio Morricone, who's one of my favorite composers, is very minimalistic, but gives you a sense of dread of like bad stuff that's gonna happen. There's not much more I can say about this film. It's great. It has some iconic scenes. The blood test scene is probably the one that is the most iconic. It's been parodied in South Park again. South Park likes to parody John Carpenter. I'm guessing Matt Stone and Trey Parker are fans of his work. I don't think this comes as a big surprise for most people. I think generally most people will consider The Thing to be superior to Halloween. It's just a better film. It's scarier. It's more impressive with the visual effects. It holds up better. The acting's better. It's just a stronger film. So there you go. Those are my top 5 films that John Carpenter has directed in his career. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Tell me your top 5 because I'd love to hear where you have They Live ranked, where you have Halloween ranked. So until next time, stop scrolling, start watching.